Hey everyone, it's Adam here from Ads Productions, and this is the review of the HP Zbook Firefly 14-inch G8 mobile workstation. There are quite a few of these, as in different editions and slightly different spec for slightly more or slightly less money. This particular model consists of the following hardware specifications. It's the Intel i7, that's the 1165G7 edition, meaning that it does contain the 11th generation Intel Core i7 processor. The latest and greatest processor family, basically. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig NVMe SSD, and it also contains the backlit keyboard with an IPS Full HD display. Taking this box out of the packaging is quite a simple experience because there's not much to it. It is very basic and it's just a cardboard box with some very low budget cardboard inserts stuffed in there just to make sure it doesn't smash in transit. All it consists of is the thin laptop itself, as well as a box with the charging cable in. Let's start with the slightly boring stuff. So we've got the power cable. So it's kind of a braided, feels very high quality USB-C charging cable. It's a 65 watt USB-C adapter. Basically you just plug it into the adapter and then it plugs into the USB-C port of the laptop on the side. I did find after charging this for a few hours, the actual adapter itself gets very, very warm. It doesn't get hot to the point where you touch it and it hurts. It's just very, very warm, like it's putting all the power it can and obviously generates heat as a waste product. So just bear that in mind just in case you're more safety conscious. It is absolutely fine. It just gets a lot warmer than your average component. It weighs roughly 1.35 kilograms, depending on how much breakfast it's had. As soon as you take this out of the box, you put it on your table and you open the screen, you'll realize that you're no longer dealing with the low budget entry-level laptops. You're dealing with business grade workstation devices here. Its build quality does feel phenomenal. There are no creaks, there are no slight noises when you kind of push down on the keys or the trackpad. It is a very solid product, and it basically feels like one big metal component. I know that it isn't a single slab of metal, it just feels very solid and very well built. You're going to be impressed with the build quality on this one. One thing that I did find quite, not annoying, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of a letdown is, you know when you have those laptops that you put down on the surface and the base of the laptop sticks to the surface and it opens the screen without any movement? It's kind of a subconscious way of identifying how high a quality a laptop is. Unfortunately on this one, you do have some movement on the base of the laptop when you open the screen. I wasn't really expecting this, and it's not a game changer or a deal breaker. It's just something to realise. You can't just place it down, open it one-handed, without it making some movement and a little bit of noise. Oh well, we move on. Etched into the back you have the Z or Z for Zbook or Zbook. You've got that on the back. It's kind of got a glossy finish in the centre of a very matte looking surface. It's very anti-fingerprint. I have tried to kind of handle the laptop in a normal world scenario instead of with, you know, cotton gloves on to make sure I don't get any smudges here and there. I've tried to give this fingerprints and it hasn't really. It does a little bit over the Z or Z logo just because it's a glossier finish, but the rest of the laptop is a very matte finish, getting rid of any annoying fingerprints. And it makes my life a little bit easier when I try to do a video, so I don't actually have to polish the laptop down before I start filming, because there's not really anything to polish down anyway. Good stuff. Towards the top of the laptop we have the webcam. I'm not going to go into details about the technicalities of it because it's just a laptop webcam. It's as good as you think it's going to be, nothing more, nothing less. It does the job. No one really cares about laptop webcams. If webcams are a priority for you, buy one, don't rely on a laptop that's built in. You'll be able to join your Zoom calls, your Teams meetings, your Skype calls, your Discord, whatever you want to do, and you're not going to have any complaints about the webcam, but it's nothing to write home about. What is pretty cool is that you get a little slider at the top, basically privacy mode. Obviously, if you're going to use Windows Hello, which is basically where you can sit down in front of your computer and have your webcam look at your face and let you in if it trusts it and it knows that it is in fact you. I found sometimes, to be completely honest, sometimes the laptop webcam was covered up. Not because I did it, but because it was kind of moved in such a way that it was pushed over the webcam without me realizing, obviously not allowing me to use Windows Hello. Was a little bit annoying, to be honest, and you might want to put a little bit of blue tack or something there just to try and stop it. It could just be the one that I have that's a bit of a looser connection or a looser component. Who knows? Hey, I don't really care that much because you can just put a bit of black tape over it if it bothers you that much. The display looks very modern. Obviously this is again the 14-inch display. It's about 17.95mm thin, very, very thin screen. It's not quite borderless, it's very, very thin though, so it does look really cool. So if you compare it to a laptop that was, 7, 8, 9 years old, you can definitely tell this is the future, that's the past. The screen real estate does get amplified by the thin bezels, and it's just a really nice laptop to use, watch movies on, do work on, and all of the above. No complaints from me on that one. And towards the bottom of the screen you do have the subtle HP logo, just in case you forget the brand of laptop that you're using. When you close and open the laptop lid, it feels very smooth and there is a nice level of resistance, which makes you feel like that hinge is securely keeping your laptop lid open, and then when you come to close it, there is enough resistance to make you realise, okay, this screen is built and it's built to last. Talking about all things ports, on the left hand side you have a 3.5 combo headphone mic port. You also have two USB type A ports, which are the 5 gigabits per second for fast charging and other data transfers. And moving over to the right hand side, you've got the power connection port, a HDMI 2 port, and two Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports. Also, obviously because it's a workstation and connectivity is key, you have a SIM card slot for 4 or 5G connectivity. I was actually quite surprised by these speakers. I was expecting the normal tin can sounding laptop audio and they just make it look like there's a bit of power behind it, but these guys have really compacted in a pretty decent speaker system. It's not going to blow you away, it's not going to be 5.1 surround sound, but watching movies and just listening to audio is more than enough to fill a medium-sized room at maximum volume. I didn't notice any distortion, especially when playing things at a louder volume, and the bass was nice and crispy. What more can you ask for from a machine that you're supposed to be doing work on anyway? But I won't tell anyone. Give me 1 minute, I'll just quickly Google how to say the brand of the technology that lives inside here. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. Bang & Olufsen, apparently. Typing is also very comfortable with the chiclet style keys here. They don't feel like normal small form factor laptops where the keys feel slightly cramped and somewhat uncomfortable to use. That's definitely not the case here. Open the laptop up, begin typing, moving the trackpad, typing again. It will feel more natural to you just to open up the laptop and begin typing, move the trackpad, carry on typing, because it feels like a bigger keyboard implementation for this workstation laptop. The backlit keys on this keyboard are a welcomed addition. Too many times have I been in front of a laptop and used it while the sun's going down and realised it hasn't got a backlit keyboard. It's a very tiny feature that really does go a long way, and when you have a backlit keyboard you think, oh thank God I do, and when you don't, you end up getting your phone out with a torch on it to try and find your way. The backlit keyboard lights up the keys perfectly. I even tried this in the pitch black and I didn't have any issues. If you look roughly in the centre of the keyboard, you'll see the little mouse nub. It's a very small, about a pea-size raised bump in the middle, and you can use that with your finger to control the mouse. It does feel a bit old school, but I have seen people use these, and people actually seem to sometimes prefer this over the standard trackpad or additional mouse. So don't knock it until you've tried it. It won't be for most people. I actually quite enjoyed it. There is a time and a place where you use the mouse nub, so you want kind of a slow movement with a mouse that's controlled in a very small surface area with your fingertip to get those precise mouse clicks whilst also saving space on your desk. The touchpad's not too bad either. It's got a bit of a retro look. You can't really glamorize a trackpad that much. You've got your left and right click buttons, and you've got your large trackpad. It's probably my main source of moving the mouse. I don't really use the nub at all. When I'm on the go I tend to use the trackpad, and I used it for a few weeks straight without using the mouse, and it was perfectly capable of moving the mouse as much as I needed it to. What more can you really say about a trackpad? When you press the left and right click buttons, it doesn't make any unneeded noises, it doesn't creak, it doesn't flex. It's fine. If we flip the laptop over, you can see the feet on it. In fact, these aren't feet, they're more like strips of rubber or rubberized material that have less of a surface area than feet would. However, it does the job of sticking the laptop to whatever surface you put them on. I really enjoy the minimalist design here, when it would have been really easy just to put 4 ugly circular rubberized feet in each corner, one in each corner, but instead they decided to say, let's do this right. So then they put 2 rubberized strips across it, and it does the job really, really well, and just goes to show, sometimes less is more. Now I could sit here and tell you, yep, it's going to last about 9 or so hours total battery life, depending on how hard you use this machine. Well, I'm going to be real. So I use this as my daily driver at work, and it consists of pretty heavy typing and pretty heavy applications all day, and it does just about last the day. Things like, you know, your office suite, you've got some light video editing, you've got some recording, you've got some VoIP calls. It does last the day, but I wouldn't rely on that. It's going to be enough for you to be working on, you know, if you go to a customer or you go to a specific person's house and you don't have access to a charger, this laptop will hold its own and the battery will keep you going. I didn't find any problems with heat on this laptop. As I said before, I use this quite intensely for the last 2-3 weeks now, and heat was never even a thought. There is a bit of heat that comes off of the charger though. It's not enough to write home about, but it is there. In terms of the laptop body itself, by the vents and near the power, it's not even a thing. You can take this out of the charger, use it on your lap, put it back on your desk, and you won't even realise that there's any heat coming off this device. This is really a non-issue. One problem that does kind of come to mind is that some people might see this as a bit too expensive. Being HP, or HP, depending on what part of the world you're from, they are, as of late, starting to introduce themselves in the more premium market with the workstations, and the price does seem to go along with that theory. You know, for a laptop with a 14-inch screen, 11th generation i7, 16GB of RAM and 256GB NVMe SSD, for just about 2,200 New Zealand dollars, you can do the Googling to find out what that is in your local currency, you can probably find laptops out there that are cheaper and you get more bang for your buck. But honestly, I really like the premium feel of this, the fact that it feels like it's made out of a bit of sheet metal. It doesn't feel like the latest and greatest workstation laptop, by any means, but it definitely doesn't feel like your $300, $400 basic laptop that you do some web browsing on and you Skype people or Zoom people or very light work on. This feels like a business would buy this and give it to their employees knowing that it is a stable, well-built and powerful laptop. And damn did it prove to be that. Overall, this is a workstation laptop. It's by no means an entry-level device. You're going to open all of your business-grade applications, you know, your whole Office 365 suite. You can open up Adobe Photoshop. You can get Teams spamming the hell out of you all day, every day. You can have some Messenger applications. You can be in Zoom calls all at once, and this laptop will not let you down in terms of performance. You can be on the go and the battery life will last for hours before it begins to flag. It doesn't produce a lot of heat, so that's not going to be annoying for you. The webcam is bang average, but bang average is good enough for a laptop webcam. I think the design and the body of this laptop is what sets it apart from most. It feels like a sheet of metal that's been molded into this workstation. It's very light. The screen has thin bezels, which makes it look all the more modern. You know, I sound like I'm trying to sell you this laptop, but I really am not. The flaws are obviously there, being that it does feel a bit flimsy when you try and lift the laptop lid when it's stuck on the surface, or the fact that the ports are quite limited. For example, you've got a couple of USB Type A's and a couple of USB-C's, a power port, and not really much else, and a HDMI port. There are other laptops out there with way more ports, however, a dongle can fix that very quickly. If you're in the market for a lower end workstation laptops. So don't forget, you've got the average consumer grade laptops that are used for like school and web browsing and very light usage. And then you have the next category up, which are these workstation style machines. Given the fact that this is an 11th generation i7 with 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig NVMe SSD, you know this thing is not messing around. And if you're interested to read more about this laptop, I have put a link in the description so you can read all about it. Please do your research. Look at this laptop, look at other laptops, look at different brands, look at different prices, look at different specs, look at all of the above, and then come to a decision before spending thousands of dollars on a laptop. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Adam from Ads Productions with the review of the HP Zbook Firefly 14 G8 mobile workstation.